Hi, welcome to another edition of our Paterno Presser. We have some breaking news. Joe Paterno is going to coach for 10 more years, he says. Neil asked him about, which was a great question, he asked him if his physical limitations at this point have given him any thought to, about his future. And Joe says, I may go another 10 years.
Well, he was kind of flippant with that. I actually think that he distanced himself from it right away, because he said at the Big Ten Media Day that he hoped to go another 4 or 5 years, and I wonder whether his physical condition has changed that. And the first thing he said was, I'm only thinking about Purdue. That's newspaper talk. I'm only worried about now. And then he said, I may go 10 more years, but he didn't qualify whether that meant that he would coach or live 10 more years. But I think there have been a lot of instances where he's bitten on that question and said, I'm hurting now, but I really see no reason why I can't go. So I thought he did not answer that, which made me believe that I think there will be some sort of a summit again at the end of this year to see, A, whether he wants to, B, whether he can, and C, and maybe this is A, whether the university wants him to go any further.
And just to finish up on that thought, I think he coaches as long as he's healthy. As long as he feels like he can get out here, be it coaching from a golf cart during practice or coaching from the press box during games, whether that's 1, 2, 3 more years. I don't think anybody's going to force him out, because it does look like the season is going to be saved a little bit because of this defense. You're looking at 8-4, maybe 9-3. It's not going to be the disastrous 5-7 that leads to a knock on his door in December by Graham Spanier saying it's time to go.
I'm not sure. I kind of disagree, because I think physically he can't. He's hurting. He's not been on the sideline for a full game this year. When he has been on the sideline, you've seen him hunched over. He was hurting after Saturday. He said today that yesterday was a tough day for him, and I thought he sounded today weaker than he has all year.
But he'll have 10 months to get ready, once January rolls around, and we saw it last summer when his health was real bad, and then all of a sudden by the end of the year he was a lot better.
Maybe so. He drove today for the first time this year. He usually had somebody drive him over, so who knows where it's all going. You can talk about it every week.
All right. Joe did say he doubts Danton Lynn will be able to play this week. That was contradicted later on by Nick Suke, who said that Danton did everything in practice on Monday, and he thinks he'll be fine and ready to go. So we'll see about that. But a couple questions today about Adrian Amos, the freshman cornerback, who looks really good, and everybody who follows Penn State closely knows it's tough for freshmen to get on the field. This kid, not only did he get on the field, he's covering Iowa's best receiver, McNutt, on Saturday. So whether Lynn is back soon or not, they found out a little bit about Adrian Amos.
Yeah, but I think again that's kind of the breakdowns in communications here. Last week, Bradley said that they lost Stephen Morris in the Indiana game, and they wouldn't play against Iowa. Joe comes in on Tuesday and said he thought Morris would play. So,
you think that maybe is a little gamesmanship, trying to throw Kirk Ferentz off, though?
I don't know.
All right, some other football stuff. We still don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Joe said that he is perfectly fine going along with this for right now. He was asked if it'll continue the whole year, if he could see that, and Joe says, well, he just isn't ready to make a decision. So here's the key question. Bolden has started every game, and this is where maybe you and I disagree a little bit. I would probably say Bolden's going to start again this week, because they have this formula, whether Bolden's playing well or not, they like having him start. And so, but who do you think gets the start?
Well, I think the combination of the fact that he played so bad on that first possession, where they were lucky they weren't down 7-0, and then it may be a different game the way they play. And they only gave Bolden two series. They started McGloin in the second half. He's played well. Where would you be right now without McGloin? I don't think you'd be 5-1, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I think this would be the week to start McGloin and build something on that. They got to sit down with Bolden and talk to him.
I'm writing a story on this in the Mirror on Thursday, so I'll give that away a little bit. You can look forward to reading this. Purdue produces a lot of NFL quarterbacks. They've got Curtis Painter, who's starting for the Colts right now, and his teammate is Kerry Collins. So how ironic is that the last Penn State quarterback in the NFL is on the same team as a current Purdue guy. They've also got Kyle Orton, who just lost his job to Tim Tebow. However,
and plus Breeze.
Yeah, right, obviously Breeze is a great player for the Saints. However, Purdue doesn't do anything in terms of playing well in the Big Ten. They put up some numbers against some bad teams, and one of the criticisms of the Penn State coaches all the time is, well, they don't get anybody ready for the quarterback. My question for you is, you want to be Purdue and send guys to the NFL and have some success there, but go 8-4, 7-5, or do you want to be Penn State and I mean, I know they were 7-5 last year, but who the hell cares what the quarterback does in the NFL? Your job is to win games in college. Isn't that the case?
Absolutely, and that has been a philosophy that really history will show has served them well. They have not been, obviously not been overly committed to producing NFL quarterbacks. And I think they've only had one really good one during the Joe tenure, at least as a head coach. They've built around defense. They play here in the North, where sometimes throwing the football in the winter in the cold weather is a problem. So obviously you'd rather have a Penn State football program than Purdue's. And sometimes a lot of guys that have to carry the football team, whether it's at Purdue or Miami of Ohio or some of these places, the quarterback is asked to do more. He's asked more than he is to do here.
Meanwhile, here, the quarterbacks aren't even asked to audible, and this came up last week, and that's the situation here. How much do the quarterbacks develop? And to me, the underlying question for this whole progression of the quarterback race is people seem to think Rob Bolden will get better and better with more playing time and as his career. But how many guys have really gotten markedly better from the day they stepped on campus until now? And I know this is going to sound like a criticism of Joe Paterno, and basically that's kind of what it is, but how much better can we really expect Rob Bolden to get? Morelli didn't get any better. Zach Mills really didn't get any better. Bolden has regressed from this time last year.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different circumstances with each of those cases. I think Mills got here as a pretty good quarterback, but there's no doubt these guys that have played early have not sometimes they've been better early than they've been later. And Bolden's regression, and I think it's a confidence issue with him. He's going to have to improve just to get back to where he was when he got here. So, yeah, I think it has been a problem. I think it was interesting what you wrote about the audibles, but I would be curious of some other places, though. I think when you don't have an experienced quarterback, that you're not going to ask him to do too much at the line of scrimmage. And I don't think that's
a redshirt junior.
Right, but how much is he audibling? He's not audibling at all.
And again, how much of a problem is the fact that you don't trust the guy because you're sticking with this 2-quarterback system? How many of the red zone issues are there because you're sticking with this 2-quarterback system? If you can't make a decision on your quarterback, that permeates to problems elsewhere all throughout.
Yeah. I think Mills audibled. I think Darryl Clark probably did. I think, most of their experienced people. And that is part and parcel to making a decision. I don't know what else McGloin really has to do to win the job.
The bad interception, that's what people look at him and they're still
maybe you don't make that interception if you've had another 100 snaps. But I do understand early in the season they couldn't afford because of the situation they're in, and they're to blame in part for the situation.
All right, Penn State's favored by a couple touchdowns here. What's your score prediction?
I picked it Penn State 26, Purdue 12.
26-12. Well, we're right on because I'm going to go 27-13. So we see pretty much.
The line's 13. Purdue is usually not that great defensively, but they can score.
Yeah,
so,
well,
you've got a Penn State team here that is.
I thought Iowa could score too, but this defense, I think they're going to. They don't run the ball great. Purdue does, and they don't have a Curtis Painter kind of quarterback. So I'm not curious. I'm curious to see if Purdue can move the ball.
Yeah, and I think Penn State's defense it'll be curious if they let the dogs out like they did last week, which I thought made for an exciting game. Nick Suke today talked about how the crowd got behind him. They needed that. So, Coach Bradley, keep blitzing.
All right. For New Rudel, I'm Cory Geiger. Thanks for tuning in.